Ask you about the function of the trigger. You liken it to a stroke of a key or a throw of the dice or a swing of the bat. Those are all things people do. A function of the trigger. Do people function triggers? I thought, in maybe somewhere in fifth grade grammar, I learned that was an intransitive verb.
Yeah.
And people don't function things. They may pull things, they may throw things, but they don't function things. And again, it's a very old statute, and it was designed for an obvious problem in the 1930s, and Al Capone, and people were with a single function of the trigger. That is, the thing itself was moved once. And that's what they wrote. And maybe they should have written something better. One might hope they might write something better in the future, but that's the language we're stuck with. Help me.
That is the language we're stuck with, but I don't think it's as narrow as you suggest for a couple of reasons. I agree it's awkward to talk about a person functioning a trigger, but there's an easy explanation. The reason Congress used that word, not pull, is because Congress knew that there were lots of different ways to activate a trigger and wanted to cover all of them. And I think the reason you know that it's referring to what the shooter does, there's really two. One is that's the way it's been understood ever since. The interpretation I'm giving you is the same one Carl Frederick, the president of the NRA, and many other courts, executive officials, congressmen gave at the same time. They used pull and function interchangeably. And second, I think even if you've said we're going to focus just on the trigger, the function of an object isn't just some action by the object, it's the mode of action by which it fulfills its purpose. And the purpose of a trigger is to accept some input from the user. And the way you know that is how everyone reacts when someone attacks some contraption, like the auto glove, which is a glove that you put on and you push a button and it has a little piston that pulls the trigger really fast. Or you attach a fishing reel, like the one the Fifth Circuit confronted in camp, where you flip a switch and it spins and turns the trigger over and over again. On my friend's reading, the function of the trigger with those devices is exactly the same, because the curved metal lever is moving back and it's releasing the hammer every single time. But everyone, my friend included, recognizes that that's not the function of the trigger in those devices. The function of the trigger is the user's flip of the switch or push of the button, because that's the thing that allows an act by the user to initiate a firing sequence.